And you can tell him that I, Christian Weston Chandler, provoke you to say, fuck abstinence!
All right, so get ready for a deep dive. Well, it's strange, it's fascinating, and honestly, it's a little uncomfortable even for us.
Yeah, this one is definitely a wild ride.
But you know we love to get into the weird stuff here, and today's deep dive is no exception. We're going deep into the world of Chris Chan with this CWCKi article.
And it's not about Sonichu or Seichu or any of the usual creations.
This one's about Mary Lee Walsh.
If you're thinking, who? Well, that's fair, especially if you're not super deep into the Chris Chan saga.
Yeah, this isn't just another one of his weird fictional characters.
Right, this is about a real person who got pulled into Chris Chan's orbit. And it all starts, as many Chris Chan stories do, at Piedmont, Virginia Community College.
Ah, PVCC, the gift that keeps on giving.
As the early 2000s, Chris was on his self-proclaimed love quest, which involved, well, a lot of things. But one of the big ones was this thing called the attraction sign.
Okay, you've got to set the scene for us. What exactly is the attraction sign? Because I have a feeling most people listening have never even heard of that one.
So picture this. Chris is wandering around campus, right? He's got his hand-drawn Sonichu comics, these strange little newsletters.
Classic Chris.
And he's just, looking for a girlfriend. And then he creates the attraction sign. This big sign drawn in marker, basically proclaiming his desire for affection.
Oh, boy. I can already see where this is going.
And of course, this catches the attention of Mary Lee Walsh, who was the dean of student affairs at the time.
That's never good.
No, not good at all. She does what any responsible dean would do. Tells him to knock it off.
And Chris's reaction.
Let's just say Chris did not handle it well. Understanding Chris's mindset is key here, right? This wasn't just a simple case of him getting in trouble.
This was deeper than that.
Oh, absolutely. In Chris's mind, this rejection, this perceived injustice, became a pivotal moment in his life.
So Mary Lee Walsh, just trying to do her job, accidentally becomes public enemy #1 in Chris Chan's world.
You got it. But here's the thing about Mary Lee Walsh that makes this whole situation even weirder. This wasn't some heartless bureaucrat, right? This was a woman who dedicated her career to helping students.
Wait, really?
Oh, yeah. She was a big advocate against sexual and domestic violence, someone who genuinely cared about the well-being of the student body.
Wow, so the irony is just off the charts. You have this woman whose entire career revolved around creating a safe environment for students, and she becomes the target of this, well, this very public and very strange obsession.
And the truly bizarre part,
Yeah.
Chris documented some of their interactions in emails, excerpts of which are, thankfully, included in this CWCKi article. And let me tell you, reading those emails, it's like stepping into another dimension.
Okay, you've got to give us the good stuff. What kind of things is Chris saying to Mary Lee Walsh in these emails?
Well, in one email, he actually tries to bargain with her.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I'll stop putting up my signs, but only if you let me keep distributing my newsletter. Like, it's a negotiation.
Oh, my God.
And it gets even weirder. He also asks her to move him up on her imaginary scale of respect.
Hold on, a scale of respect. What is he even talking about?
Honestly, it's never really explained, but it seems to be like a points-based system in his head for ranking people based on like how much he respects them.
So he genuinely thinks he can bargain with the dean of students like this.
It's like he thinks social interactions are just transactions or something. It's wild.
That's both hilarious and a little sad.
Right. So anyway, Mary Lee, to her credit, she stays totally professional.
Good for her.
She's like, Christian, we need to have a meeting to discuss this further. Here are some available times. Just trying to address it like, a D in students.
Which, knowing Chris Chan, probably backfired.
Oh, yeah, big time. Instead of seeing this as a chance to, talk things out, Chris took it as a personal attack.
Of course he did.
In another email, he describes this encounter by saying, and I quote, that in percent has shattered my heart and murdered my soul.
Oh, my God. The drama. It's Shakespearean.
Right. And this is where we start to see that classic Chris Chan overreaction. That inability to cope with even the slightest rejection.
Leads to that persecution complex, right?
Exactly. Where anyone who doesn't perfectly conform to his worldview is an enemy out to get him.
So sad, because this whole Mary Lee Walsh thing could have just been a blip in his life.
Right. A weird encounter, nothing more.
Instead, it becomes this formative experience that he just twists and warps into something really strange.
It's not enough for him to just be upset about it. He has to make it into this grand narrative, this battle of good versus evil.
Right.
And that's where Mary Lee Walsh, the real person, disappears.
Yeah.
And Slawwheel Rhyam, the Sonichu supervillain, is born.
Okay, we have to talk about Slawwheel Rhyam, because that's the name I think a lot of people associate with Mary Lee Walsh, even if they don't know anything else. So for those who've never had the pleasure of seeing a Sonichu comic, set the scene for us. What does Slawwheel Rhyam look like?
Oh, man.
Yeah.
It's like full-on witch. Like she's got the hat, she's got the robes, the scepter, the whole 9 yards.
You really went there.
Oh, absolutely. She is a wicked witch, hell-bent on destroying love and happiness.
Chris's love and happiness, you mean?
Especially Chris's.
Wow. I mean, you've got to have some kind of, like, warped sense of reality to turn the dean of students who was just doing her job into a literal witch.
But it's important to remember, this wasn't just about, like, creating a villain for his comics. This was about him projecting all his own, like, frustrations, his insecurities. He couldn't take responsibility for what happened, so he puts it all on Mary Lee Walsh.
So Slawwheel Rhyam becomes this catch-all for everything Chris feels is wrong with the world.
Or at least wrong with his world, which, to be fair, is pretty messed up to begin with.
And the details he includes are just, well, there's something else.
Like what?
Like in one issue, she teams up with Count Gradual.
Oh, good. Count Gradual.
The vampire character.
Yeah, who represents Chris's fear of graduating college and moving on to adulthood.
Another layer of symbolism.
Right. Everything in Chris's world has these, like, layers of meaning.
Usually tied to his, anxieties.
Exactly. But here's where things get really wild. Years later, after years of depicting Mary Lee Walsh as this, like, evil witch, he tries to do some damage control.
Oh, no. This is going to be good. What kind of damage control are we talking?
He comes up with this whole two Marys theory.
Two Marys.
He claims to, like, forgive the real Mary Lee Walsh, says that she was actually a kind and caring person.
Okay.
And then he introduces this fictional counterpart.
A second Mary Lee Walsh.
This one is evil and is the real Slawwheel Rhyam all along.
Wait. So now there are two Mary Lee Walshes.
Yep.
One good, one evil.
You got it.
This is unreal.
It's classic Chris Chan. He can't quite let go of the grudge, so he invents a whole other Mary Lee Walsh just to justify it.
So he can maintain the narrative he already created.
Exactly. It's like he's trying to convince himself that he wasn't wrong about her, even though he's admitting that he kind of was. It's fascinating, though, isn't it? Like, you get this glimpse into how his mind works, you know? He's constantly editing his own memories and thoughts.
Yeah.
Like trying to warp reality to fit into this worldview he's constructed.
And it doesn't even really work.
Nope, not at all. Because even with this whole two Marys thing, Slawwheel Rhyam doesn't go anywhere.
Well, yeah, she's like the main villain at this point. You can't just get rid of her.
Exactly. In fact, if anything, she gets a promotion. Like at one point, Slawwheel Rhyam becomes the mayor of CWCville.
No way. The fictional town in the comics. He made her mayor.
Oh yeah, he leans into it, which I think really shows just how much this whole thing with Mary Lee Walsh got to him. Even when he's trying to go back and fix it, you know, to make himself look better. She keeps popping up in his work.
It's like she's the symbol for all the wrongs he feels have been done to him. This reminder of the injustice.
And the media he makes, it all circles back to that. This need to be recognized as the good guy, you know what I mean?
It's almost, I don't know, a little sad. Like, here's this woman who is just trying to do her job and help students, and she becomes this caricature, this villain.
In a story she had no part in writing.
Exactly.
Makes you think a little.
Right.
About how these stories, these little things that start online, how they can get away from us.
And, you know, we haven't even gotten into the really, how to put this delicately?
The messed up stuff.
Yeah, like the trolls who latched onto all of this.
Oh, yeah, it gets a lot worse.
This is the part of the deep dive I always kind of dread.
It's dark, man. Like the stuff with Nubile Mary.
Ugh, yeah.
For those lucky enough not to know.
I envy those people.
Nubile Mary refers to these super sexualized depictions of Mary Lee Walsh.
Drawings.
Yeah. They started popping up online. People, well, they were more into trolling Chris Chan than they were actually engaging with any of it.
And look, it's important to remember Mary Lee Walsh had nothing to do with any of this. She just got swept up in it.
Collateral damage, you know.
I think it's just another good reminder, right? Like these narratives, they have real people at their center.
Yeah. And whether you think you're being funny or you're just trolling, it doesn't matter, does it?
It all has an impact.
It really makes you wonder about how we're all interacting online.
The things we say, the people we talk about, how we choose to dissect other people's lives.
Right.
You know, it's a lot to unpack. But I think that's what we try to do here on the Deep Dive. We shine a light on these weird, often uncomfortable corners of the internet, and we just try to make sense of it.
We're all just trying to figure it out, right?
Exactly. And in the case of Mary Lee Walsh and this whole Chris Chan saga, I think it's a story about consequences.
The stuff you don't mean to do but still happens.
And about how flimsy the line between what's real and what's online can get. I don't know about you, but I think there's a lesson in there somewhere.
Always is.